G'day, folks. Now, Shaft 2019 may not be the greatest cop, buddy, father-son action comedy film of all time, but you know what? It's absolutely the movie we need at this time. Right? In this age of political correctness where you can't speak your mind and you can't poke fun at anything, this movie blasts through all of that crap and makes fun of everyone and everything, but not with any kind of malice. It's just fun. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's absolutely what we need to, stick it to the stuck-up elitists in Hollywood. I'm surprised they allowed this movie to be made, but it's got a lot of support from fans. It's obviously the critics are upset because it's got colorful language, it's politically incorrect, it makes fun of so-called oppressed minorities, which is all a big load of bullshit. Everyone needs to have a sense of humor about themselves, and if people can't take a few digs at their culture, at their identity, at their race, at their ethnicity, all right, at their gender, then we got problems. They got problems. You have to have a sense of humor about yourself, and if you don't, okay, you're going to be a stick up your ass, not very fun to be around kind of boring, annoying person, okay? So this movie it's great. I mean, Sam Jackson is great in it. Jesse T. Usher, he's great in it. He's great at playing the sort of millennial, politically correct sort of, raised in cotton wool sort of sheltered kid, and he plays that really well. And then he meets his dad, and his dad sort of sorts him out in a way, you know what I mean? And his dad, Sam Jackson, he's a rough around the edges guy. He says it as it is, he's crude, he's rude, he's in your face, but it's so welcome. It's such a breath of fresh air with all the stale shit that's coming out with controlled speech and careful not to offend anybody. Man, John Shaft the second, he just comes out and says it, and he delivers some lines in this that are hilarious that I will never forget. They just stick with me. And even his first introduction in the movie is absolutely priceless. His son comes and greets him, comes to find him, and his dad appears for the first time that he sees his dad in his life. His dad's got his mouth's all glistening. His mouth's all glistening because of certain activity he's been getting up to with his female companion there in the apartment. And I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but it got me howling with laughter. And they don't even address it like verbally. You just see it, and it's like it's very good visual humor. And just Sam Jackson's line deliveries in it, and the script was great. I mean, it was there were great lines in it, and the way Sam Jackson delivers those lines was just priceless. And some of the action scenes were great, especially the shootout in the restaurant, where his son finally sort of steps up, mans up, and impresses his woman by saving a life. That was a great scene with the song they were playing in the slow-mo as well. And just really well done. It was great seeing Richard Roundtree as well as John Shaft Senior, or the first, I guess, because Jesse T. Usher was John Shaft Jr., the third. So you get all three generations in this: grandfather, father, and son. And yeah, Richard Roundtree was great. He obviously played the original Shaft in the 70s. And yeah, he just brought great charisma, great screen presence. Again, great line deliveries. The scene where they're battling one of the henchmen of the big bad drug dealer guy, and they're both out of ammo, and he says, "All right, let's settle this old school, fisticuffs." And then the henchman guy pulls a knife out, and he's like, "Oh, that's how we're gonna do it." And he just pulls out his pistol and shoots the bastard. That was great, reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark, actually, but done in a great contemporary way. So it had great memorable moments. The women in it were really good too. They were sassy and fiery. I loved it. You see, people will say this movie's sexist because of the way it treats women, but it gives the women so much power because they're not just placid damsels. They are sass queens, man. They are fiery. And you even see, even Shaft himself, as much as he talks up a big game, even he's intimidated by the woman he loves. It's great. It's just, it's done so well, and everyone gets made fun of. Every demographic, every, way of life and gender and, identity, they all get a poke at it, And the movie was, believe this, right? Even though it was politically incorrect and it had a dig at different groups and all that, it was still a politically neutral film. Yeah, it didn't really endorse or unendorse any particular ideology or political view. There was even a mention of Trump in it, and it wasn't in a completely negative way. It was just Sam Jackson actually did a good impression of him. You know what I mean? In this one scene. And I was as soon as I heard mention of him, of Trump, I thought, oh, this movie is going to go woke now, and it's going to, they have to bash him. But they didn't bash him, which blew my mind. But again, breath of fresh air. I mean, that's the theme of this entire review and just this whole movie. Breath of fresh air. It was great. Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. It's just, the dialogue scenes were just as much fun as the action scenes. How often does that happen in a crime movie? Usually that's reserved for a Tarantino film, where the dialogue scenes where people are just sitting and talking are, the most fascinating part of the movie. This movie had that. It might not be the exact level of Tarantino-esque dialogue, but some of the lines in this were fantastic. When he chases down the drug dealer, the first time they confront him as father and son in the drug house, and Sam Jackson chases him outside and catches him, starts breaking his fingers just willy-nilly. And the guy's like, man, you broke my whole hand. And Sam Jackson's like, I didn't break your mother effing hand. I just broke some of your fingers. And then he grabs his hand and breaks the rest of his fingers and goes, now I broke your motherfucking hand. I hate when people exaggerate. Sorry, I try to keep, swearing to a minimum here. So, sorry for that F-bomb there, folks. Don't let the kids listen, because obviously this movie is not for children. I don't know what it's rated in the US, but yeah, very colorful language, violence, a lot of sexual innuendos, but it's done in a very comedic, entertaining way. So, if you have very liberal sensibilities, and you don't like being offended by politically incorrect things, then this is not the movie for you, okay? Feel free to boycott it, but, I hope they make more films like this, just break through that mold of, cookie cutter, safe space sort of movies nowadays, where they'll mock everyone except the left. They'll relentlessly mock Christians, conservatives, Republicans, anyone on the right, or anyone who doesn't hold, views, that are left of Marx and Stalin, right? Where they just call everyone else Nazis. If you can't handle, any kind of criticism of your worldview, this movie ain't for you. But I hope Hollywood, or the renegades, the rogues in Hollywood that are, not towing the company line, the leftist company line. I hope they keep churning out movies like this, because, as you can see, the critics are hating them, but who gives a stuff what they think? They're snooty elitists, all right? They've thumbed their nose up at everybody. Screw them. No one needs them, okay? You keep making movies that the masses, the crowds, the working class folk, all right, just the normal people, they don't even have to pander to conservatives or right-wingers like myself. They can just be middle of the road, apolitical movies like this Shaft film, which just digs at everybody. Because guess what? I have a sense of humor about myself. I can take criticism and mocking and fun that's poked at my worldview, my side, my ideology, my whatever, identity bullshit, all right? Doesn't bother me. All right? Everyone else should, just lighten up and enjoy movies again. All right, this is why I love the 80s. The movies were, for the most part, politically neutral, but again, they just poked fun at everybody, and they didn't give a shit who they offended. And that's the kind of stuff we've got to get back to, okay? So Shaft, damn good movie, super entertaining, loved it, and as I said, I think this will be the 4th or 5th time I say it, an absolute bloody damn well breath of fresh air. More of it, please, Hollywood. All right? Listen to the fans. Listen to the folks on the ground, not the elitists, the critics, okay? Okie dokie. I'll leave it there, folks. So, actually, no, I've got to give this movie a rating, all right? So, what do I give it out of 10? You know what? On its own, if this wasn't the times we're in and all of that, you know, and this movie wasn't such a pushback against, you know, the bloody leftist agenda that's going on, then I'd probably give this movie an 8. All right, but because of the times and because of, you know, the battering ram of a movie that this is, through that sort of, you know, through that iron curtain of political totalitarianism that's going on, all right, because it's so effective at doing that, I'm going to bump it up to an 8.8. Okay, it's just shy of a 9, but it's 8.8. I think that's a very solid score and well deserved of this movie. All right, that's 8 points. That's 0.8 of a point, just for the sheer guts of this movie in the current climate to come out and just not give any shits about who it's offending. So that's what I give it, 8.8. Go see this movie. I think it's in theaters now. Surprisingly, it appeared on my Netflix, so I watched it on Netflix. But support this movie any way you can. Watch it on Netflix at the cinema. Buy it on DVD if you enjoy the movie. And yeah, let's let's push to make these movies great again, as they should be, as they once were. All right, folks, I'll leave it there. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. All right, God bless you all. And remember, you want to make movies great again, you gotta vote with the wallets.